Hello, Anne.
Hi.
Hey, nice to speak to you.
Oh, wow. This is incredible. It's nice speaking with you too. Um, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I can't put on the video because my computer doesn't have enough upload.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll just talk. I had a question
Yeah,
that I realized the other day. I like to do yoga quite a bit and, well, a few days a week. And sometimes when I do a class, and it's often a class where I get really lost in my breath and I'm really focused in my body, is I'll notice that I get tearful.
yeah,
And I'll find myself with this crying
yeah,
it's usually toward the end of the class.
yeah,
And I'm just so curious about that. I mean, I pretty much just kind of allow it and let it be there.
yeah.
Um,
I
but
personally,
I don't really understand it.
yeah, I personally see that as release. I see that we hold our stories in our body, not just our stories, previous lives. And when I say previous lives, I mean your like genetic history, like your mum's story, your dad's story, your grandmother's, like your ancestor's story in your body. Like so when you're
Uh-huh.
born, they pass on the DNA of you. I think I told you the other day about the story about rats when they tested on rats. Did I tell you that?
Oh, oh, I don't remember that.
I don't approve of the testing on animals, but I read this in a psychology report of what they did. So they traumatized a mother
Uh-huh.
rat before she had babies, and she wasn't pregnant. They traumatized her. I can't remember what they traumatized her with, but let's say it was like a pencil. So every time she saw the
Uh-huh.
pencil, she freaked out. And then
Uh-huh.
she got pregnant and she had babies. And then as soon as
Uh-huh.
they showed the babies the pencil, the babies all instantly freaked out.
Yeah.
So genetically, they passed on that trauma, and that's what our
Uh-huh.
bodies carry. They also say
Uh-huh.
so. They say with dogs. So dogs should naturally be afraid of snakes, and so should cats. Have you ever seen these
Uh-huh.
cat videos where a cat freaks out by a
Yeah.
cucumber? Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
it's because in their DNA they should be afraid of snakes. So they actually
Oh.
think it's a snake. So it's the same with dog. When your dog's not afraid of a snake, then there's something bizarre in its like conditioning or in its genetic makeup. But it should be an
Uh-huh.
inherent like process that happens in them that knows to stay away from those types of animals. Just like they have that
Wow.
natural instinct to go towards that which is prey, to go towards that which that's afraid of them. And
Uh-huh.
and so this is what happens with us. We have all these stories from thousands and thousands of years in our bodies, and then we've got the stories from our own life. And when you do
Yeah.
something like yoga or movement or like massaging the chakra areas, because the chakras, like it goes all through your body. Like I point out the main chakras, but they're actually all over your body. And when you do
Uh,
stretching, you're just
yeah.
releasing old stories from your body,
Yeah.
like and just old conditions. Like it could actually be something that's totally not related to your life.
Yeah. But my sense is when I was a little girl, I was burned, and I have a lot of scars that
Yeah,
stretch when I'm stretching, and it
yeah,
causes my body to be kind of imbalanced a little bit on the right or left side. And
yeah,
um, that is my sense that it's from that being a
yeah,
child, and and
yeah,
then I guess um, I I guess I just reflect on that and
yeah.
want something more, but maybe it's really
I think it's
just
a
being with myself and allowing that to process and move
yeah,
through me
and it will naturally. Like I think you're
with
doing
a
it
with a
naturally.
compassion
Yeah,
sort of way
yeah. Like
to
you're
just allow that.
yeah, totally. You could the thing you could reflect on is like I think that everything is patterned. So I think that, and this is just my belief. You don't have to take it on. But when you're born into
Hmm.
this life, you're kind of predestined, even though I don't really believe in that word, to have
Yeah.
experienced the burns in your body. Like
Uh-huh.
it's like everything is this endless play of
Like
life.
this.
And
Yeah.
it's like your mother's life and your father's life and the
Yeah.
way they thought about themselves led you to the
Yeah.
action and led you to your actions. So when you're crying about it and it's passing through, you could also see if you can evoke like some of your mum, like what your mum used to tell herself, what your mum felt about herself, like what your mum felt about her body, like how she viewed herself. And you can also like do an exercise of just imagining like these previous lives, like what women felt about their body, like the way that women's body was used in society, like how our looks were used, and like
In a way to just feel into
yeah,
that.
yeah. If you can have, I mean, it's a bit difficult when you're after a yoga class, but if you maybe when you're sitting in your car driving home, just see if you can evoke some of the imagery there and see if anything touches you more.
The empathy of that.
Yeah. And see if you can feel it in your body coming up, like that it relates to you, even though it's not your story, you also feel like it's your story.
Oh, that's really interesting. That reminds me of family constellations.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you know of that?
Yeah, I do.
Family
I've never actually done it. I've only ever been described it by people, but I would love to experience it and do a class.
Yeah, it's the most phenomenal. Like it's just how you're describing
Yeah.
the multiple generations and
Yeah.
the impact it has on us.
Yeah, totally. And so much of what we're speaking and doing is related to the generations that came before us, and also the what you do and what you're experiencing will relate to the generations that come after you. It's all one in the end.
Oh, right. I see that sort of thing with abandonment, like I felt abandoned as a child in these health issues that I was having, and my parents must have at some level had their own feelings of abandonment, and then I
Yeah.
end up adopting children who are abandoned,
Yeah,
who are abandoned by
totally.
their biology.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes, how does that fit in if you're adopted? How do you rectify, your birth from your
Yeah.
biological?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
It's
yeah.
an ongoing process, all of us, like releasing these human dynamics. Like it's something that we endlessly deal with, because even if we become a really like enlightened race, we're still going to be traumatized by our environment. Like we still have to die. We're still going to have struggles in the daily flow of life, which will affect us. And it's always going to be our job to overcome that and to recognize that and to see it as something that helps us grow rather than something that pushes us down.
Seeing it as something that helps us to grow, that's really
Yeah.
nice way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be really interesting in like 10 or 20 years to then with your children to see how abandonment, like if they are open to talk about it, like to see how abandonment plays in their life, like in what way it played out or what
As their life
actions.
plays
Yeah.
out too.
Yeah, if they have perspective on it, which it sounds like your children are quite open-minded, so they might be able to, when they're 40, reflect how they made this decision or did this or went that way or this way because of abandonment.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just keep reflecting on that.
Yeah, and feeling it. Like it's so good that when you do the yoga you cry, like because that's the sign that you're more and more in touch with your body. Like that's so sensitive to stretch and then be able to feel the sadness from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It feels really like I don't want to be with a teacher unless the teacher's very sensitive.
Yeah.
When the teacher's sensitive, I feel like I can be more real into that expression too.
Yeah.
And there's some way it seems natural to just lean into that.
Yeah.
Just how you were saying earlier, like loneliness is, we're not lonely when we're right here with ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Yeah. It's just a process.
Yeah, this process on the process. I tried to say it in American then. Like you say process and we say process. Oh, well, South England say
Oh,
process.
process, process.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, this and this process on the human level, and then on the absolute level, it's so still experiencing this phenomena of life, like right here, right now, never leaving this moment, always supporting everything it creates.
Oh, yeah. There's something experiential about that that really resonates with me
Yeah,
so much.
yeah,
And you call it the absolute level.
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't have
What
to
is
be.
that?
It doesn't have to be mental. Like I put it in very
Yeah,
abstract and mental ways. Like it can also be. Well, fundamentally, you know it as yourself, as the most intimate sense of being. So it's something
right.
that you deeply know, and you don't have to understand my words. It's a knowing that's not in
Well,
time.
yeah, I get the experience, the feeling of it, the
Yeah,
experience of it, and then I have a desire to be able to speak about it or talk
yeah,
about it. So I don't know, I have the words for it.
yeah. It is impossible. Like I can't even speak about it. This is why we get thousands of teachers, because there's no right way to speak about it.
Oh, gotcha.
You can't speak about it. And in some ways, the most beautiful way to speak about it is without the words. It's like the silence in between the words, or it's a beautiful painting or a beautiful song.
Mm, yeah, really nice. I think that's part of the reason I haven't wanted to be around people who are full of a lot of energy and talking. And it's like I love the being with people and having silence in there.
Yeah,
It feels more like we're really being together
yeah,
versus the chatter that happens.
yeah, totally.
Mm, that's great. Thank you for
Nice.
taking my call. That was
Oh, it's a
really
pleasure. Thank you for
just
calling.
uh, shocking. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Anne. Bye.